Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kiboko Gold's live investment summit today, hosted by Six. I'm pleased to introduce their president and CEO, Jeremy Link, who's going to be walking us through a company presentation. And after, we're going to be going through any questions that you ask live, which you can do so by submitting them to the chat found on the right-hand side of the screen at any time. And if you'd like to get in touch with the team, we're going to be posting a link later on in the chat, which you can fill out the survey that you can get redirected to through it and indicate your interest that you'd like to get in touch. As always, this event is being recorded and it's going to be available on Six.com in the coming days. So look out for that if you want to refresh. Without further ado, Jeremy, I'm going to pass things over to you so we can get started.
Thanks a lot, Cam. I'll take the time to thank everyone for joining us today. We're going to have a walkthrough of Kiboko Gold. Kiboko is a relatively new company. We're still got less than a year old. Our IPO was done at the end of June, early July of last year. And we've made great progress over that past year. I'm going to walk you through that. But first of all, I will bring your attention to I will be making some forward-looking statements, and I'm going to give you an introduction to the company and our team. So Kiboko's team all met while working in West Africa, a little company called Abitibi Gold, where we reevaluated a project very similar to what we're reevaluating today inside Kiboko, and that project was ultimately acquired by Endeavour Mining for about $160 million. Following that, key members of that team got back together and assembled a 100 kilometers plus square land package in the Abitibi, about 50 kilometers north of Val d'Or. What attracted us to the project was not its location per se, but it was data rich. There was a wealth of historical drilling there that we could use for advanced modeling to get a sense of whether or not this had a project that has potential to be of scale. Since then, we've taken the company public. We've drilled 70 holes, roughly 11,000 meters. We still have 43% of those assays to report, and we expect to report a maiden open pit mineral resource in the third quarter of this year, which is really this summer, so over the next few months. So your timing to get up to speed on Kiboko is exceptional. So I'm Jeremy Link. I'm the president and CEO. I've got 20 years of working on and off of Bay Street in the mining industry. Brad Boland is our CFO, who's worked at a number of blue chip companies. But the real rock stars of our technical team are Dr. Olivier Feminius and Ivor Jones, both of which have distinguished careers, and they specialize in coarse gold. And so our team is experts in coarse gold, and some of the projects that our team has been associated with over the years include Abitibi Gold's Kalana project, where we reevaluated it as a coarse gold project in 2013, and then 4 years later, it was acquired by Endeavour Mining after over 3 million ounces had been defined. Continental Gold's Buritica project, I guess it's now Zinjan's Buritica gold mine in Colombia. That had been around for quite some time as well, that project, and acquired and then reevaluated about a decade ago as a coarse gold project. And then Pretium's Brucejack project, also another project that had been around since the 1960s, but then reevaluated as a coarse gold project over the last decade, then ultimately acquired by Newcrest for about $3.5 billion. So one thing that all these projects have in common is that they all had long histories before they were evaluated using coarse gold techniques. But once they had access to capital, they easily added tons and grade and were ultimately acquired by larger companies. For Kiboko, we see the Harricana project as another one of these overlooked coarse gold projects that has great potential. We consolidated 6 projects under one operator, covering an area of about 100 square kilometers. The project is data rich. As you can see here on the map on the left, there's a lot of historic drilling here in the past, about 140,000 meters. When we originally got the project, we were aware that there was a few hundred holes, but we had no idea that there was really about 1,000 holes on the project until we had done the data compilation exercise. Now, for that data compilation exercise, we identified 3 data-rich areas that have high priority. Fontana in the center, where there's about 80,000 meters of drilling. Duvet, about 5 kilometers to the north, where there's about 20,000 meters of historical drilling. And then Mon Pass, about 2 kilometers south of Fontana, with about 8,000 meters of drilling on it. Now, our phase 1 program, which was what the proceeds of our IPO were for, was to go out and run a verification drill program to help verify the historical results for use in mineral resource estimation in the resource estimation processes, and we're targeting that mineral resource for the third quarter of this year. That drill program results have only started to become available recently, and so we still got 43% of those to report. So it's an exciting time for Kiboko shareholders. So our drilling has been verifying the historical results at Fontana, and you can really evidence, this is really kind of evidence when you look at the map here. See if I can't bring up a pointer. So you can see here, we've been mainly drilling at Fontana. We've been drilling here at Marcotte, which you can see here in the red box. It's over 1.25 kilometers long, possibly even 1.5, depending on where you want to go from. But it's also, you can see here that it's open for another 750 meters at least, it looks like, to the south. This area hasn't been drilled historically because there was a lot of different owners of the various land packages. But now we have the consolidated entirety of all the land surrounding the principal targets. You can see here the zone is quite wide, 200 to 300 meters in places, depending upon the density of drilling. And you get a sense here, and then we've got another target here called Claverny, where we've had some exciting results. This has not been drilled since the 1990s. Now, if we have what I'm going to do is we're going to have a look at a long section down the center of this red box. Sorry, this is a zooming in of that red box. My apologies. And you can see here there's been some great drill intercepts, both historically and from Kiboko, where you see intervals of 24 grams per ton over 3 meters. Comparable one here would be 34 grams per ton over 3 meters in the historical. You can see 2.7 grams per ton over 8. You can see 8.7 grams per ton over 9. And then there's also some lower grade intervals, still though quite high, good grade for open pit style target. 1 gram per ton over 8 meters, 0.9 over 8 meters. So a real good mix. Now, when you look at this, you can see there's a lot happening on the slide, and a fair bit of noise perhaps too. And what we try to communicate to investors is that what you need to do here is see that there is is to connect the dots. So you see a purple spot here, connect it to another one, and maybe they skip a few and they come along here and then here. And then same with the red and then the yellow. And what you're seeing here is a series of veins, perhaps even a vein package, and that's what we're interested in. We don't think that, I would say per se, that very few of these veins are economic interest alone, but when they're looked at it in a collective package of veins, then they start to be potentially of economic interest. And that's what we're going to be flushing out over the next few months as we head towards reporting of a mineral resource. Now, if we look at this plan map in long section, so down the center of it, once again here you can see that Kiboko, we're looking for our goal is to define a open source, a near surface open pit mineral resource. So our drill program has been shallow. We did about 11,000 meters over 70 holes. The average drill hole length then is like 125 meters, and really that's about 100 meters vertically. And you can see that in our drilling here. That's what we're looking to find. You can see that there appears to be good vertical continuity here amongst these structures. You also see that not only is our drilling shallow, because that's what we're interested in at this time, but so is most of the historic, suggesting that there's lots of room to grow this mineralization at depth. And you can see that right here, big gaps, but you can also see that there are holes 400 or 500 meters below surface that are mineralized. But that's not our initial focus. We're looking in really this top 200 meters of the deposit, occasionally down to 300, to define that near surface open pit, because, well, the ounces near surface are the ones that are most valuable. Now, we're not yet at the stage where we have a mineral resource, but there was a fair bit of historical data here, about 109,000 meters, over about 784 holes that falls into these three zones. Overall, for the project, we see a total potential based upon the historical data of 20 to 33 million tons at a grade of 2.7 to 3.6 grams per ton. Clearly showing the potential here for a multi-million ounce project. Our first work, though, is only focused on Fontana and really, looking at the Fontana vein aspect here, and we're only drilling the top 200 meters or so, not even really. So 150 to 200 meters roughly. So somewhere, we expect to come somewhere, beneath that lower range for our mineral resource this summer. Now, this project is conveniently located in 55 kilometers north of Val-d'Or. You can see here that those of you who aren't familiar, Val-d'Or is Canada's most productive gold mining region. There's over 30 million ounces in reserve here, and probably over 200 million ounces has been mined. What's important about this map is that we are near the three major centers on the Quebec side of the Abitibi. You have Val-d'Or, the Valley of Gold. You've got Rouyn-Noranda. Both those are 60 to 90 minutes away from the project. But then Amos is 15 minutes away. Amos is a major hub. The drillers are based there. The surveyors are based there. There's a whole bunch of service providers based there. And it's just a great place to be, with a community of about 15,000 people. Because of the location, we've got year-round access, paved highway to site, then a great network of forestry roads and other trails. There's a skilled workforce in Amos. There's hotels, grocery stores, hospital, 13,000 people population. So a great place to be based. We've also got the Quebec Hydro. As the world continues to race towards these net zero targets, reliance on cleaner, more sustainable forms of energy become more and more important to major projects like mining ones. And so we think that's a great advantage, only 5 kilometers away from the center of the project. Also, the project's mostly on forest land, which provides a clear permitting framework, in partnership with the First Nations. And then finally, Quebec, just one of the world's greatest mining jurisdictions to be in. You got great geology, you got great people that are also skilled, and attractive tax incentives. It's just a fabulous place to work. Kiboko's capital structure, we've got roughly 44 million shares outstanding, of which about 35% are owned by Kiboko's board and management. We put in almost $450,000 into the IPO round, and management and the board own 98% of the company prior to the IPO round. Currently, and then we got some, a great network of high net worth and retail investors as part of our shareholder base, institutional investors. Trezor owns about 14%, who's who we acquired the project from. And then IR Battery and Processing was a pre-IPO investor that we've worked with in the past. Now, in terms of our news flow for the rest of the year, Kiboko has done a lot of work to get to where we are today. So, for the process prior to the IPO, we had gone out and we had staked and optioned the land. We had structured a new royalty agreement with Globex, which was actually, I think, like a real deal breaker for us not to get that done. We then digitized 140,000 meters of data. We went out into the field, looked for historic collars to determine where those were so we could have more accurate modeling and interpretation. We then permitted the program, did the technical report, did the IPO, and then between doing the IPO and now, it'll be roughly a year will have lapsed for us to get from doing the first drill program to getting the first mineral resource done, which I think is a tremendous accomplishment for us to get done in the first year of being a public company. The mineral resource we're targeting for this summer, so that should be out in the next couple of months. And then we'll follow that up with our phase 2 drill program, which we have not yet determined exactly what that will be, because we need to finalize the results of the mineral resource. Now, we've talked mainly about the Fontana property, but remind everyone that the Duvet property is interesting as well, 5 kilometers to the north. Within the Mon Pass project, 2 kilometers south of Fontana, has the potential to be another Fontana-sized project. It just needs a lot more work to be done to it. But there's a handful of other exciting projects here. There's over a dozen other targets that have drilling into them that need to be advanced further. And so we've got this great pipeline of projects here that not only sitting at projects that are at resource evaluation. Soon, Fontana will move up from resource evaluation to mineral resources, which then we'll start moving other projects up that pipeline as well. And while that's not going to be our primary focus, we know that's important. Having our team, having worked at billion-dollar companies that have bought smaller companies, or having worked at smaller companies that have been bought by bigger ones, having that pipeline of projects is a key part of maximizing shareholder value. For example, when you get into the permitting and the engineering phase, news can slow down. But if you have exciting exploration projects, that helps retain investor interest in your project as things advance. And similarly, a major miner, he or she wants to buy a project that has, a 10-year mine life and some kind of PEA or feasibility study, but then wants to see the potential to make sure that mine can operate for 25 years or more, or that the throughput can be doubled and so on. And that's why it's so important to have a large prospective land package in a junior company. So Kiboko's team is proven coarse gold exploration geologists and management. This is what our team does, and we know how to do it. And we had great success with Alamo Gold, and we're looking to emulate that success with Kiboko Gold. We have a large land position in the world-renowned Abitibi gold belt, 55 kilometers north of Val-d'Or. We have 100% control of the project, and it's surrounded by incredible infrastructure, including 6 other mills within a 50-kilometer radius. The project is data rich. From that data, we were able to plan a low-risk exploration program and see where the potential was to outline a multi-million-ounce system. We've been reporting results recently. We had some delays at the lab. Those have all been cleared now. Assays have been flowing over the last few weeks, and we still got 40% of the assays to be reported, well, for another 25 holes, which is exciting. And then this will all lead up to us reporting our maiden mineral resource for a portion of the Fontana project this summer, which I think which is what the IPO shareholders invested in Kiboko for, and what we're all looking forward to seeing. With that, Cam, we'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for going through the questions, or rather the presentation. And just as a reminder to everyone in the audience, if you have any questions, now is the time. And Jeremy, we've had some questions come in already. So the first one is essentially, what do the next 6 months look like for you for Catalysts right now?
Yes, the next 6 months. So if we go to slide number 14, back here to number 14. Right now, the phase 1 drill program has wrapped up. We've got assay results coming in. So those are the next, those are coming over the next few weeks. And then that will be led up by a mineral resource, which I think is quite exciting. We're looking for something that should be above average grade in one of the world's best mining jurisdictions. So I think there'll be a lot of interest in that. And then after that, then we'll launch the next drill program. But we won't have any sense of what we intend to do there until the mineral resource is completed this summer.
Will you be having new drill results coming out, and what do you expect them to look like necessarily?
Yeah, we should have more drill results coming out probably in the next week or so. Kiboko is a small team, and so it takes time to prepare figures and to do some initial analysis on this work. Samples only cleared quality control the other week, so we're working as fast as we can to get news out. So at Bunkhouse in lot 14, we're looking for results probably similar to what we've had at Fontana. Bunkhouse is a bit different. Sorry, not Fontana. That we had the Marcotte trend. Bunkhouse is a bit different than that. Different orientation and some more complex geology. And I'll start working on that news release and probably tomorrow. And so I can't really tell you what those results look like yet because I haven't seen them.
No, fair enough. Absolutely. Well, Jeremy, I want to thank you for coming on today, going through the presentation, answering those couple of questions. That does look like that's it for now at this point, though. So before we wrap up, I do want to pass things over to you for any closing remarks that you might have.
Oh, no, thanks a lot. So, Kiboko is a new company. We've got an exciting project in what I think is the world's best mining jurisdiction, and definitely Canada's hottest spot for M&A in the gold mining space over the last decade, with something like $7 billion worth of transactions done. We're coming to a time where the company is going to go from exploration to advanced exploration with a mineral resource, and I would expect after the next drill program that we'll have initiate this summer or fall that we'll be in a position to have a preliminary economic assessment as well, a PEA report. So the next, the first year of Kiboko has been exciting. And we think the next year will be even more exciting as we continue to move the project up the value chain.